Yo, 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 yo. All right. Obviously, because of work and whatnot, I can't get the podcast in before the Thursday night games. That's probably going to be impossible for me to do. So I'll try to get these podcasts in on Saturday. I know it sucks because Thursday nights will be played, but I'm going to break it down based on what matchups I think are going to live up to the most hype in the season. We start off with the ones that I think are going to be the less exciting ones moving up. First matchup I want to break down is Matt versus Allen. Um, Look, I think a lot of people are trolling Matt for his picks, and rightfully so. It doesn't look good when you start Adam Shaheen, and he gets you 1.1 points. Going against Allen, who also seems to always get trolled for not taking running backs. He is a guy who I don't know if it's zero RB, it's just no RB, and he just mixes and matches his strategies. Bottom line is the quarterback matchups: Kyler Murray versus Cam Newton. Um, I'm actually going to say that Murray, I think, full season has a lot more upside, but he's missing his best lineman. I know the Lions aren't a good defense, and I think Murray can avoid a lot of tackles. I can see him being very, very inaccurate throwing the ball in this matchup because of that. I think he's going to be under duress. But with that being said, I do think that this guy has upside of 80 rushing yards. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but I could see that. I think he's going to be running for his life out there. Cam Newton, on the other hand, I think is an intriguing play because, he was a little rusty, shaking off the injury, but now I think this is the best weapons that he has all season. The Curtis Samuel hype has been getting out of control. DJ Moore is another reliable target. Christian McCaffrey, a healthy Greg Olsen, not fantasy reliant, but from a real life NFL perspective, can help this guy out a lot. I am not going to think that this is going to be a high scoring game. I'm actually not too big on any of these quarterbacks, but I don't think the quarterback matchup is going to make that much of a difference between these two in their matchups. Um, I'm going to give the slight edge into Cam Newton. Only reason is because I think his line is a little bit healthier. Um, I could be possibly wrong, but I'm going to say Cam Newton outscores Kyler Murray. I'm going to say 25 points to 19. Okay, the receiver matchups, this definitely looks on paper one-sided, but there is a guy I believe that might be able to break a lot of DraftKings slates. Matt is rolling with Kenny Galladay and Marquise Brown, whereas Allen has his boy Big Mike Evans and Mike Williams as his two starters. The interesting thing here is Mike Evans is going to ball out against the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not concerned with the injury. Um, Mike Evans, I expect the 49ers and the Buccaneers to be in a shootout, and I expect Mike Evans to at least get one touchdown. If not, he's going to hit over 100 yards in this game. That, I think, is a guarantee. Now, the other guy that Allen has is Mike Williams. I don't know what to think about this game. This could look like a trap game for the Chargers. I'm not betting the Chargers on this at all. But this is a pretty favorable matchup. But there might be regression with touchdowns because you got the guy Hunter Henry now back in action and healthy. I think Mike Williams might see 6 targets, and on those 6 targets, I think he catches 4 of them. Give me 60 yards and a touchdown. I think that's a good stat line for Mike Williams. On the flip side, Kenny Galladay has a lot of upside going against the Patrick Peterson-less Arizona Cardinals. My only concern is this. If the Cardinals defense sucks that bad and you have Matt Patricia coaching, this could be a very conservative Kerryon Johnson game plan. But I think Galladay, finds Pater at least once, and he's a very, very good upside play in this one. And Marquise Brown is not going to do jack shit. And because as much as I like Kenny Galladay, I think Mike Evans and Mike Williams are better options. Go with Allen's picks there. When it comes down to, all right. Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon. Dalvin Cook, absolutely love. This guy's going to be the chalk in DraftKings this week because of the Atlanta Falcons defense. I think without a doubt, we're not going to talk about the running back situation at all. I think Matt clearly destroys Allen in this column. So right off the bat, you have the quarterbacks at a draw. You got the receivers going to Allen. Let Matt take the running backs. OJ Howard's already beaten Adam Shaheen. OJ Howard just needs 2 points and he wins that matchup. Darius Geis and Marlon Mack taking on Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill. I'm going to side with Allen, but I want to talk about some points with Matt's lineup. Michael Thomas and Tyreek Hill are going to go off. Well, maybe not Tyreek Hill. I take that back. But Michael Thomas is going to have a field day. Marlon Mack, I think this guy is going to have a very ugly stat line. I think the Chargers are going to key in and stacking the box. Marlon Mack might get a lot of volume, but I can see the stat line being 17 rushes for 50 yards, no touchdown. It's going to be an ugly day at the office for Marlon Mack. Regardless of how good that offensive line is, I think Chargers are going to sell out. They're going to want Jacoby Brissett to beat them. Darius Geis. The only positive thing we'll talk about here is that Adrian Peterson is going to be an inactive, which hypothetically would mean that he's in for a workhorse load. I think in the first half, you see Darius Geis look pretty solid, but I think the game gets out of hand and it's going to be Chris Thompson in the second half. For that being said, the 9 points that Geis is projected, I think he hits 10. I think that this guy might catch 2 to 3 balls, but his rushing total, it's going to be an ugly day at the office. I can see him getting around 50 to 60 rushing yards. I think he breaks one where the fantasy community goes berserk. It's going to be one of those red zone clips, and then we're not going to see him for the rest of the game. So with that being said, give me Allen and New England D versus Tampa Bay D. Both not good matchups, but New England's at home. Prediction, I think Mr. Williams is going to start smack talking at 2 o'clock, and the victory is going to be settled pretty much by then, unless there's injuries to be concerned.
Go.
My final score prediction is that Allen wins 131. Right,
now this matchup is a little interesting
Matthew
because
Morris is 104.
after the draft, I think a lot of people liked one team, and a lot of people, I think after the draft, talking with a lot of people, were not big on this team. But right out of the gate, Thursday, even the daytime, not even the nighttime, man, things have drastically changed. My friend Antonio Brown no longer plays for the Raiders, man. You want to be a Raider or not? It's clear he didn't want to be a Raider, man. So now we're dealing with David Cryer up 13.7, thanks to Allen Robinson resurgence, which I was fully buying in on that pick, by the way. And Lewis has a donut already from Geronimo Allison. Things get interesting. Let's talk about it. Drew Brees taking on Baker Mayfield. I think this is a lot closer than a lot of people might think. I know the projections have it very close, but here's a little interesting stat. Baker Mayfield, dope. I like this matchup a lot. I do think that this game is not going to be a blowout. I know a lot of people think that it is. I could kind of see Cleveland and Tennessee hanging around, and then Cleveland pulls away with it in the fourth quarter. I think Baker falls short of 24 points. I'll give him something around 20. Drew Brees, the Saints always lose opening games in the season. I don't know why, but Drew Brees is home and against a really, really crappy Houston Texans secondary. I gotta love that matchup. I'm actually gonna go Drew Brees with over Baker Mayfield. I think Brees has potential to drop 28. I think Baker is a solid floor play, but not an upside play against the Tennessee Titans. Julian Edelman is the only other receiver, or it's Julian Edelman versus Jarvis Landry, and Julian Edelman is going to feast. Give me Edelman. Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry taking on Saquon Barkley and Todd Gurley. Well, it comes down to this. You got two stud backs. Gurley, I think, will be worked heavily in this game come season's end. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm going to go with Lewis's running backs just because I am not big on Derrick Henry against the Cleveland Browns. George Kittle is my favorite tight end this week. He is going to go off, and Austin Hooper is not. So, therefore, I got to go with the tight end from David Cryer. Kenyon Drake and Alshon Jeffrey taking on Sony Michel and Curtis Samuel. This right here is probably going to decide what the heck is going to happen here. Kenyon Drake and Alshon Jeffrey, flat out, not big on Kenyon Drake at all in this game. Alshon Jeffrey, I haven't been that big on Alshon Jeffrey in a while. And because of that, I like Sony Michel to get a lot of volume, but I think it's going to be hard to score against that stout front. But it is the New England Patriots, so we always got to keep that in the back of our minds. Curtis Samuel, could this be the coming out party? Could this be the hype show that everybody wants to see? I'm going to say yes. I think he has potential to catch at least one touchdown. I do not think this guy goes bonkers and breaks Twitter, though. But I actually have to like the flexes in Lewis's case, and I love the Seattle defense. So right off the bat, ladies and gentlemen, I've loved everything from Lewis. I think the only advantage I've given out of David Cryer is the tight end in the wide receiver position. This is a bit of a cop-out, but this is how I think it's going to plan out. Although Lewis has the advantage in the flex matchup and the running back matchup, I think that Edelman's beastly performance and Kittle's beastly performance could probably make up for at least one of Kenyon Drake and Derrick Henry's slump performances. And because of that, I think I'm still more inclined to take David Cryer with a 13-0 lead. The only way I think Lewis has potential to pull this off is if guys such as Jarvis Landry and the guys I'm not big on, Jarvis Landry and Austin Hooper, at least get double digits. I think that's the key to victory, but it is very hard when you're already down 13-0. So because of that, I might go in a very close than anticipated matchup. I'm going to go David Cryer. I'm going to say that he puts up 140 and Lewis puts up 135. This matchup is one I like to call already out of the gates. People are not big on because of the Thursday night shit show, if I may. Bottom line is there was a lot of hype. Somebody's first round pick underperformed, and the hype running back on David Montgomery underperformed. The only thing that we came out of in this game was a 13-point performance of the Chicago Bears. Yahoo currently has the projections at 107 to 114. I'm talking about Paul and Harsh, by the way, if I have not mentioned that already. Let's get into it. Patrick Mahomes taking on Declan Dakota, whatever the heck his name is, Prescott. I know Harsh has been the biggest supporter of Dak Prescott in fantasy, more than his fuck buddy Rob Coffey. But because of that, it's Patrick Mahomes. If you told me Dak Prescott outperformed Patrick Mahomes, I'd say you're joking. I think Pat Mahomes still has potential to outperform Dak Prescott, but I do think Dak Prescott keeps it close. I'm going to say that Mahomes will get his 30 points. It's week 1. They have a good arsenal. Andy Reid can game plan. They don't have to focus on Jalen Ramsey. I'd be shocked. I think this game is going to be close, though, but the Chiefs will wind up with the victory. I'm going to say Pat Mahomes picks up 30 to 31, and Dak Prescott gets around 24 fantasy points. Right off the bat, Calvin Ridley is in a big spot here because he has to make up for the 5 points that Devontae Adams put up. Godwin is going to eat. Christian Kirk, I don't know what to think. I like the situation that he's in, but I'm not even sure if we're already sold on him being the guy or the quote unquote guy. But nonetheless, I think Godwin clearly breaks the slate for DraftKings this week. I think he goes in 20 points for Godwin. I'll say, all right, you know what, 10, just because I don't know what Christian Kirk, so I'll go by the projections for that. Ridley, I don't know what's going to happen there, man. And Le'Veon Bell and Chris Carson are going to be studs this week. More so Chris Carson than I believe Le'Veon Bell, but I think these guys combine for at least 40 points, and you're already behind the 8 ball with Jordan Howard, Naheem Hines. Travis Kelce will look solid against Jacksonville, but not amazing. So I'll give you the tight end spot there. Zach Ertz, if Paul needs to win, he needs a big performance out of Zach Ertz and Robbie Anderson. Austin Eckler is going to be a solid floor. I do not see a 20-plus point performance out of Austin Eckler. I think he hits his floor of probably he's going to get between 12 to 15 points. Zach Ertz and Robbie Anderson would be better upside plays. Now, one thing you like about Zach Ertz is that it's Carson Wentz throwing in the ball, not Nick Foles. That is who Carson Wentz likes to go to. I think Wentz has a phenomenal game, and I think maybe Ertz has a potential to catch the ball. Robbie Anderson against Tre'Davious White is not the most appealing matchup, but if the reports are true that he's healthy and they're supposed to move him around, he could have a solid game. It comes down to who do I think is going to perform better, Zach Ertz or Austin Eckler. And I've got to go because of the volume. I got to go with Austin Eckler beating out Zach Ertz. But because of Montgomery's 5-point performance, I'm giving Paul a slight advantage. I think the flexes on Paul's end combined for 25-ish fantasy points, whereas Harsh is combined for 18. Minnesota D is not going to outperform Chicago D. Time for myself to pick a winner. I just think the biggest holes that I see here are Jordan Howard and Naheem Hines. But here's a big but. If Devontae Adams did what he was supposed to do, I think I would have gone with Paul. Now, listen, I know this is kind of a hindsight movement, but I want you to hear my analysis here. You're already behind the 8 ball because Jordan Howard and Naheem Hines don't see a lot of volume. And the only hole that Harsh has, it's 5-5 already. But with me not being so big on Calvin Ridley, you have three holes I think that are going to happen. It's Adams, Jordan Howard, Naheem Hines. I think the guys who are going to be duds for Harsh are going to be T.J. Hawkinson and David Montgomery. If Paul is pulling this victory out, Pat Mahomes needs to throw 4 touchdowns and 2 to get to Travis Kelce. That's the game factor. I think Kelce catches only 1 touchdown though. So for that and a very close matchup, I'm going to take Harsh 125 to Paul's 113. Let's break it down now. The fourth matchup we're going to talk about is talking about the one that I will be competing in for this slate. Already down, not down, but very disappointing performance from Thursday night from my man Aaron Jones. But I mean, I wasn't expecting big things. It's my team taking on Andre's team. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I am not going to be a hypocrite, and I am not going to be superstitious. Like I know half the league is like, oh yeah, I've already lost. It's over. Like I'm not. I'm not about that. I'm gonna give it to you straight. Deshaun Watson taking on Matt Ryan. I'm gonna give it to you straight. I think Matt Ryan is a decent play for this season, but I don't like him that much on the road. I'll take Watson over Matt Ryan. Tyler Lockett, and I am putting DJ Moore on the bench. Just because I like to catch up from behind and D.D. Westbrook. Taking on Juju Smith-Schuster and Robert Woods. Okay, I want to talk about Andre's receivers first before I talk about my own. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to have a tremendous season this year. But Bill Belichick, I believe, is going to game plan and force. He's going to have a big problem. I don't know if he can get that 15 projected that he has. However, I do think that Robert Woods has a very underrated game for you. Tyler Lockett and D.D. Westbrook. Tyler Lockett, I think, is in a tremendous matchup. My only concern about Tyler Lockett is if this game gets out of hand early on, there might not be that many pass attempts, but this is what Lockett was last year. Russell Wilson throws 20 of them, he's probably still going to catch a touchdown. D.D. Westbrook could be in a come from behind role. I could see this guy getting massive amount of targets in this game. But I am going to play the respect card. This is not me being superstitious. You have Juju Smith-Schuster and Robert Woods, who are in decent matchups, but not great. And I have wide receiver twos that are in really good matchups. So because of that, I'm still going to give you a slight edge. I think your receivers combined for a total of 37 points, and I think mine would be somewhere around the 30 to 35 range, but I'm not even that confident in that saying that. It's a bold statement. I'll give you a slight edge there. Okay, this one is a coin flip, and I'll be 100% honest. Nicholas Chubb and Damian Williams taking on Mark Ingram II and James White. James White, I don't like for the season, but they might rely on him, and Mark Ingram is in a fantastic matchup. Nick Chubb, a good matchup. Damian Williams is the biggest coin flip here. I think that it comes down to Damian Williams versus James White. My thing, I understand. Look, I can't tell you that Damian Williams is still going to be the guy the whole season. We're gonna have to play it out, see how it goes. I burned a 3rd round pick on him. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But he still plays for the Kansas offense, and you know, I think the running back matchups also become close because of Mark Ingram's matchup. He has potential to go in the end zone twice, but I'll say it's a draw just because I don't know what the workload situation in Damian Williams is going to be like. And James White, I could see them using him earlier on in the season and save Michelle's knees in the second half. Darren Waller versus Greg Olson. I mean, we're just flipping a coin for a touchdown at that point, so I'm going to say a draw. Aaron Jones and Philip Lindsay taking on Stephon Diggs and DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins is going to be a stud this week. Diggs' is injury report, I think you've seen the stats. Whenever he's questionable, he puts up terrible numbers. Terrible numbers. Aaron Jones got 4, though, so I think Diggs, if he plays, will outperform 4. And it comes down to Philip Lindsay or DeAndre Hopkins. Look, as much as I like Philip Lindsay, he's not going to outperform DeAndre Hopkins. No chance. And Cleveland and Baltimore are going to be close matchups as well. Okay, bottom line. The one thing I don't do, I don't pick my games, but I can tell you how it's going to go down. And this is not me just saying this because I'm only had 4 points. It's me saying this because I've done this every year. My key to victory is Deshaun Watson, Lockett, Westbrook. Like these guys have to perform in really solid matchups. And I think that Philip Lindsay's got to be the lead dog, and I expect him to be. I think you'll sprinkle in Royce Freeman here or there. If Andre's keys to victory, Matt Ryan's got to produce pretty solid. And I will say that either Mark Ingram or James White has to have close to a 20-point performance if we're expecting Chubb and Williams' workload to be what they were drafted as. Those are my keys to victory. The one thing Andre does have going for him is the cock blocking movement of Deshaun Watson with DeAndre Hopkins. So if Watson balls out, you gotta say that Hopkins is gonna eat and he's gonna get his. And if Ryan gets his 25, even though Watson might put up 30 plus, bottom line is this: Hopkins has already gotten 20 or half of what Watson put up. So I think Fuller scores. So that's my key for that one. All right. This matchup will surprise a lot of people, but actually looking at how the matchups are broken down, I could see this potentially being a very exciting game and one that is probably going to surprise a lot of people. I'm talking about NWO Coffey taking on Maxwell. Starting off, Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson. The way I feel about Lamar Jackson is he can't throw a pass, but for fantasy, if he doesn't get a touchdown, unless he throws like a million picks, his floor is around 17. So if at least because okay, maybe not 17, 15. All right, I'll bump it down a little bit. But he's against the Miami Dolphins. I think he has potential for 3 touchdowns, maybe 1 through the air, 2 rushing. Russell Wilson, it's a good matchup, but they might rely on Chris Carson a lot. But you're never going to get scared because of that. I think Russell throws 2 touchdowns. Because of the rushing upside of Lamar Jackson in this one, I got to give it to him. Julio, Odell taking on Keenan and Tyler Boyd. I want to talk about Julio Jones. I think he has a really good game. He steps up against very, very good corners. He loves the competition. I think the only game where I can remember Julio Jones looking really, really bad in was when he was hurt in the Super Bowl against the Patriots and Belichick game plans to take out the number 1 option. Odell Beckham Jr. Okay. I'm not concerned about the hip. I think Odell at like 80% is pretty much the same as any other number 1 wide receiver in the league. I think he probably catches a deep one once at least. Um, could this could be everybody's favorite receiver again if he has a number or that game that everybody expects. But on the flip side, I think Max has very underrated options in their matchups. Keenan Allen against Indianapolis, Tyler Boyd against the Seattle Seahawks. Look, Keenan Allen with Melvin Gordon was a fade for me because they are a run first team. But with Melvin Gordon not there, they are going to be more of a 60% pass team, 40% run team because the guys that they have behind them can't handle a heavy workload like Melvin Gordon, but they throw it out to them in the flats so they don't take vicious hits. Because of that, I like Keenan Allen a lot. I think Keenan Allen is being slept on in DraftKings lineups. Keenan Allen, from what I can remember, other than the game against Kansas City where he tore his leg, he has like phenomenal week 1 games. I think Keenan Allen can cancel out one of Julio Jones or Odell Beckham. Now it comes down to Tyler Boyd. I was a big Tyler Boyd truther, Max. Your opponent can attest to that. I actually sent him a really, really ridiculous text saying that next season, this was sent in December 2018. Tyler Boyd would come close to Juju Smith-Schuster's numbers. Yes, I did say that. What I am concerned about with Tyler Boyd is that there's no AJ Green, but I think Tyler Boyd is going to put up garbage time numbers that are going to piss Coffey off. I think that Tyler Boyd in the first half has maybe 5 points, but I think Seattle just runs away with this game. In the fourth quarter alone, you're going to see that 5 points transform into 18. Because of that, I think this wide receiver matchup is a lot closer than people think. I'm going to play the respect card because it is only week 1 to rob Coffey, though. I think Julio and Odell can perform at combined 40 points, and I do think that Keenan Allen and Tyler Boyd have upside for this week only, though. With that, Coffey is playing it safe. It's like he's using, Coleman and Breida in positive matchups. I love Breida so much. I'm not big on Coleman. If this hits for Coffey, it means Breida's the workhorse.
and Coleman busts one for a long game. But Zeke and Leonard Fournette. A lot of people are saying that a contrarian play this week in DraftKings is Leonard Fournette because they like the matchup. I liked Fournette out of college, but I don't think he could stay healthy. I think he takes too much of a workload. But I'm going to go Elliott and Fournette still, just because I think there's too safe of a floor with Coffey, where there's much more upside on the other end. Coffeyville's finest is not going to like this, but I love Jared Cook over Vance McDonald. Duke Johnson and Amari Cooper taking on T.Y. Hilton and ugh, you really had to go this route. Sterling Shepard. I'm going to take Duke and Amari. I don't know if Amari's going to be healthy, but Duke is going to be used a lot in the passing game. Sterling Shepard, I'm not big on, and T.Y. Hilton might get peppered with targets, but dude, I don't know with Jacoby Brissett. Then I like Philly's defense. Bottom line, this game is going to surprise a lot of people out there. I'm going to go with Coffey in a matchup that I think is going to be pretty close. Pretty close. I think Coffey beats the 125.46 projections. I'm going to have this game as probably the highest scoring game of the week. I'm going to say that Coffeyville's finest puts up a 150 spot and Maxwell's puts up a 139. Okay, just kidding on Maxwell, 132. This is what I think is going to be the matchup of the week. It came down to Max versus Coffey versus this other matchup, but I just feel like the storylines, the narrative, these guys have. It's like a boxing match. It's like the underdog taking on a guy who always beats him, but he got knocked out by him once. King David taking on Johnny J. Fresh. I do think that this is going to be probably my favorite matchup of the week. I think it's going to be close, and I do think that these teams both outperform their projections. Starting off, Johnny was smart to bench Aaron Rodgers. I was not. A lot of people were questioning that. I wasn't. I was totally fine with him going into Soldier Field. But Carson Wentz taking on Jameis Winston, man, I love both of these guys this week. But I'm going to take the guy who's less prone to throwing picks, and that's Carson Wentz over Jameis Winston. Wentz, I just feel like puts on a show. I think he has potential to finish as the number one quarterback this week. He does have that upside. Whereas Jameis has top five potential, but I don't think it's number one. I understand the Bruce Arians hype, and I get that. But my issue with Jameis Winston is there's going to be at least two picks in this game. That's just who he is. But I love Wentz a lot. And Winston will be fine, but I love Wentz this week. Carson Wentz, I think, has 30-point potential, whereas Jameis has that low 20s to mid 20s potential. Give me Carson Wentz. Josh Gordon and Cooper Kupp taking on Adam Thielen and Brandon Cooks. This is where shit gets real here for a minute, for Johnny's sake at least. I want to talk about Adam Thielen for a second. I know this was your boy last year and you got him again. If Diggs suits up, you're in the clear. I love what you have in Adam Thielen. Diggs has to be out there, though. And what I mean by that is if Diggs is ruled inactive, people just double team the crap out of Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is a safe guy because he's the guy I like to draft. It's the number two wide receivers that play in the slot with an alpha on the outside. But without Stephon Diggs there, if he's ruled inactive, this is not a very enticing matchup. He might get volume, but there's going to be a lot of double teams. A lot of double teams. So I think you need Diggs as a decoy because they have to respect that. Brandon Cooks against the Carolina Panthers. There is a respectable corner on the outside that the Carolina Panthers have in Deontay Jackson. This guy is being slept on. I think he's the next up and coming big cornerback. I wouldn't say he's going to be the number one, but he definitely has top five potential. He's probably going to be the man to guard Brandon Cooks. He's a good cornerback, bottom line. The Rams receivers are so impossible to figure out week in and week out, but I'm just going to always project the Rams at worst case scenario to get 10 points. Josh Gordon and Cooper Kupp, if I use the argument for Brandon Cooks,
I gotta say the same for Cooper Cup, except I feel like his Cooper Cup's is more to project than it is Brandon Cooks because this is a matchup where they are vulnerable over the middle of the field. I'm talking about the Carolina Panthers here. If you haven't understood yet, if they decide that they want to run 3 wide receivers like they did last year and think that he's healthy, this is a fantastic spot for him. But if they feel like, you know what, let's ease him in, it's not very good. Josh Gordon, I feel like, is a trap. Just gonna flat out say it. I think he's a trap. I think Edelman eats in this game. Believe it or not, if I was David Sutton, I actually like Deshaun Jackson a lot more than Josh Gordon. But this is your roster, not mine, and you're gonna play your guys. David Jansen, James Conner taking on Christian McCaffrey and Kerryon Johnson. This is an interesting one because I think McCaffrey outperforms David Johnson like a lot. I think David Johnson's rushing totals are going to be putrid. I think David Johnson might have around 15 carries for 30 yards. I am not big on this Cardinals run game at all. However, I think this guy has potential to catch like 8 passes for 80, but I'm not going to bank on a touchdown at all. So 8 passes for 80, doing the math, it's 4 plus the 8. So we got, oh my God. So that's 12 points right there. Sorry, I'm doing the math in my head. Uh, 16 with the rushing. I think he gets you 16 points. That's a decent floor, but Christian McCaffrey, though, I think has better touchdown upside. And James Conner, and Kerryon Johnson. Look, I know, I've been touting this guy as a bust. I get it. And you can say Nick's just a hater. This is why I don't listen to your freaking podcasts. But this is a good matchup for him, okay? The only thing that would really make me laugh is if CJ Anderson steals his touchdowns. But I think Connor is going to have a very good floor because I think that Belichick game plans to take out Juju Smith-Schuster. The linebackers are going to look at him every play. The safeties are going to look at him every play. Connor's going to have some running room. I think Connor puts up 20 points. I'll give Kerryon 15, and I give Johnny this slight advantage in the running back department. Hunter Henry versus Evan Ingram. Uh, I like Hunter Henry to score. Evan Ingram, I don't think finds pay dirt. Devonta Freeman versus Josh Jacobs. I hate both of these matchups. Johnny had this. This is the one week where I love this combo. Will Fuller and Marvin Jones Jr. both will find pay dirt in this one. Marvin Jones, I think, will catch 4 passes, give me 80 yards and a touchdown. Will Fuller is probably going to have a similar stat line. He's money with Watson. I think they outperformed Devonta Freeman and Josh Jacobs. Dallas defense against Giants, love it. Chargers defense against the Indianapolis Colts. I'm like okay with it. I don't love it that much. It's because of Derwin James. Derwin James is there. I love this defense. I just hope that these safeties aren't noobs in the back over there. All right, time to pick a winner. It's gonna be a close contested matchup. It's gonna be a very close contested matchup. But but I do think that the home run threats with Will Fuller and